wouldn't carry over into the general, and it hasn't.
Well, the Trump campaign is really sticking with this, Julie. Mike Pence went a step further than just slamming the media. He actually went as far as a recent rally calling out an individual reporter for colluding with the Hillary Clinton camp. Watch this.
I mean, it's just amazing. Some of these emails come out, you find out this guy at CNBC named Harwood, he actually, after he moderated a Republican debate, he was communicating with the chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign about how he'd been vindicated in his tough questioning of Donald Trump. You got this person who was at Politico who, a Clinton operative said that they could do the most shaping if they reached out to her. The shaping of stories. And Vanity Fair just wrote an article touting how the New York Times and the Washington Post brought down Donald Trump.
Julie?
Well, a couple of observations. One is, Guy's absolutely right. The same media is the reason he's the nominee today. And you want to talk to Ted Cruz, there's somebody who's probably going ballistic at the thought that the media is now turning on him when, in fact, the media had made him the nominee. All of them, not just Ted Cruz, but all of them. Secondly, look, John Harwood, who I think is a good reporter, is not on the ballot. And they're wasting their time going after the media because all they're doing is preaching to their own choir. Thirdly, and this is a very important point, if they don't want negative stories about themselves, and they're always going to have negative stories, I'm not pretending the media is going to cover him even fairly. Yes, I do think the media has a certain bias. But I also believe that one way to get the media to not cover your sex scandals is to stop proactively bringing them up. And when Donald Trump stands up at a podium and starts talking about suing women when he's supposed to be talking about bringing the country together at Gettysburg, guess what the media is going to focus on? Your sex scandals, because you are proactively... Everybody in the media, all of us brought it up. All of us talked about it. We talked about it on this very couch the other day because of the fact that he goes to Gettysburg. He's supposed to give some overarching speech. That's
yes, this is what you talked about.
And that's what we do.
Our Democratic guest.
Yeah, and so the problem here is if he doesn't want these sex scandals covered, don't bring him up. Move on, and maybe the media will move on with you. But instead, he's doubling down.
Many of us have moved on to the intense email dump that has come from both the FBI and WikiLeaks. Go ahead.
Some of these journalists that he's pointing out, I do think it's fair to call out people like John Harwood, people in Politico, who are emailing Hillary Clinton's campaign and giving them advice and saying great things about Hillary Clinton. That is, in every conceivable way, political malpractice and should be grounds for firing some of these people. All of that being said, one of my favorite quotes from the movie Primary Colors is, "The media giveth and the media taketh away." And you live by the press, you die by the press. And you have to have a message and a candidate and a campaign that is stronger than when the media will inevitably turn on you, as they do all Republican candidates everywhere, because it is a liberal media that we live and die by.
We want to highlight this moment from last night for those of you who didn't see it. A big moment on the Kelly file when Megyn Kelly and Newt Gingrich got into it over the media's coverage of Donald Trump. The former House Speaker slamming the fact that the network spend more time on negative stories about Trump rather than the accusations against Bill and Hillary Clinton. Watch.
My point to you is, as a media story, we don't get to say the 10 women are lying. We have to cover that story, sir.
Sure. Okay, so it's worth 23 minutes of the three networks to cover that story, and Hillary Clinton in a secret speech in Brazil to a bank that pays her $225,000, saying her dream is an open border where 600 million people could come to America. That's not worth covering.
That is worth
when you
covering.
want to go back to the tapes of your show recently, you are fascinated with sex and you don't care about public policy. Well, that's what I get out of watching you tonight.
It didn't end there. Then came this exchange.
Do you want to comment on whether the Clinton ticket has a relationship to a sexual predator?
We, on the Kelly file, have covered that story as well, sir. I will tell you
I just want to hear you use the words. I want to hear you use the words, Bill Clinton sexual predator. I dare you. Say Bill Clinton sexual predator.
Mr. Speaker,
Disbarred by the Arkansas bar. Disbarred by the Arkansas bar. $850,000 penalty.
Excuse me, sir. We, on the Kelly file, have covered the Clinton matter as well. We've hosted Kathleen Willey. We've covered the examples of him being accused as well, but he's not on the ticket.
All right, so that exchange happening last night. We've all had a chance to watch it. Actually, I want to get Julie your response first.
Well, I was on Megyn's show the night before, and we were in fact talking about this very subject because the Trump campaign actually pulled their spokesperson from coming on to talk about it. They could have had their opportunity to respond to it. They did not. Secondly, and this is going to sound a little ungracious, but I find it fascinating that the messenger that the Trump campaign is sending out to talk about sex scandals and to talk about obsession with sex is Newt Gingrich, who at the time that he was in
his first sex scandal, was involved in his own secret sex scandal, and having an affair. So, you know, if you're gonna, sorry, but that's the reality. Maybe Newt Gingrich is not the best messenger to talk about obsessions with sex and sex scandals.
Okay, there's a lot of talking for sure happening about this today. It's trending on Twitter. Everybody continues to get caught up on what happened last night. First, though, I want to let you know that Donald Trump has now responded, congratulating the former speaker on what he said last night. Listen to this.
By the way, congratulations, Newt, on last night. That was an amazing interview. It was an amazing. We don't play games, Newt, right? We don't play games.
Megyn?
I was very uncomfortable watching that exchange. I felt like I was watching my parents fighting. I'm such big fans of both these people. I see both sides of it. I understand Newt Gingrich saying we have to spend as much time and attention on the Hillary Clinton scandals, on these leaks, as we do sex scandals. But I also understand when you're talking about 10 women coming out with these really insane allegations against Donald Trump, it's also the responsibility of Megyn Kelly to cover it. That being said, this conversation that they had, this argument they had, I think people in America are having this argument right now. I think this is a lens into the argument people on the left and people on the right are having. And I wish we would focus on Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, the obsession with sex line was a little silly there, I think, from Newt Gingrich. And there were some piping hot takes on social media last night when this was all going down, with people seeing what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
Newt Gingrich destroyed Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly made Newt Gingrich melt down. What I saw to my eyes and ears was an intense exchange between a professional journalist and a partisan in the final weeks of a very emotional campaign. I get that. I don't think that either one of them won the exchange. They both did their job.
Fair enough, Paris?
Interesting. You know, I wish I had seen it in the context by the time I saw it. Right? I'm flipping around. We were watching games and stuff last night. It already had commentary with it, and it was loaded, as you put it, with that commentary. So I had to kind of put all of that aside and watch the video on its own. And I agree. I mean, 13 days to go. I'm not surprised that I see a person who is a surrogate, if you will, at least a supporter of Donald Trump, coming from that point of view that hard. That being said, he took it personal. And that has somewhat backfired at times during this campaign. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
You know, find somebody that's how you want to stay on the subject. I think it's crazy to stay on it for the Trump campaign, but if you want to go down this crazy road, get Kellyanne Conway. Get somebody, get a woman, and more importantly, get somebody who's not using Richard Rudy Giuliani, who don't have their own skeletons in this very same subject in their closet.
And to get Newt Gingrich's response, and he just responded an hour ago on his Twitter account saying, for the record, Megyn Kelly was wrong. I don't have anger management issues. I do have media bias issues.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Some are calling it a political gift for Donald